Hi everybody and welcome to the Money Man. I've got Money Boy Oliver Keohane here. Ollie, we're going to do something different today. We're going to chat a bit about the rugby, or lack thereof, or just chat about it briefly. I mean, I think it's the lowest percent. I think I'm at 16% winning selections on rugby for this year. So
because the Springboks aren't playing yet.
Well, it's a bit turgid, isn't it, in terms of the... It's like Groundhog Day in South Africa. For a year, the teams have been playing each other. I don't know, in an iteration of Super Rugby, then the Currie Cup, and now the Rainbow Cup. But it's all, it doesn't matter how you dress it up. It's just basically the Currie Cup.
Over and over again.
Over and over again. Every time you wake up, the Sharks are playing the Bulls, the Lions are playing the Stormers, and so on and so forth. And it's tough to really bet on those sort of things because we've never experienced it before.
Yeah.
So I've dipped out of the rugby until there's some sense back in it, and I've had lots of success with soccer. And I've done that by in-run betting and just eliminating the three options. I take two options: cards, cards and corners. That's the two things that I've been focusing on. And I haven't been posting a lot of tips because I'm doing a lot of it in running, and I have taken positions on certain things and either try and minimize the loss or change the bet depending on how the game is going. So your dad is causing all sorts of cock, eh?
I see so, yeah.
People wanting, but your dad's always caused a lot of cock, and he's not short of an opinion. Why British and Irish Lions will take a beating in SA. Yeah. Now that, looking at the Betway odds right now, they don't agree with Mark. They're saying that the British and Irish Lions are favourite. I don't know what universe they're betting. These guys are betting on.
Yeah. Look, I think, rugby, any sport isn't a game that's just played on paper, because if it was just played on paper, there wouldn't be a market for, bookies to make money. But you can take something from what's on paper. And I look at the British and Irish Lions squad and how many of those guys would make a fully fit starting 15 for the Springboks. Not even a starting 15, who would make the bomb squad for the Springboks, And I think there's maybe two positions that you would pick out of the 15, out of the 23.
And I think Rassie concurs with that.
Yeah, and I think they've left some of those guys out of the squad.
And they're not even in the squad.
No, they're not even in the squad. They're previous British and Irish Lions. I mean, you've got Johnny Sexton not coming, Johnny May, one of England's best wings for the last nearly decade. Who else in the back? Vunipolo's not coming. CJ Stander left out, even though he's retiring from international rugby. He did make himself available.
Is George North not?
I know George North is there. They've left out Jacob Stockdale, very good Irish winger. They've also left out James Ryan, who I think has lost something like two tests in his 30 Irish tests. Brilliant lock, and you've got a lot of noise my dad's been making about Alan Wynne-Jones, and I have to be in agreement. I think you've got a case of this guy now coming and leading the British and Irish Lions, not as the best lock in that squad.
No, he's been a great servant to Welsh rugby. Fair play.
Yeah.
And he was always going to get selected. But to captain the team, I'm not convinced. And he has passed his sell-by date.
Yeah.
And who I think also has passed his sell-by date is Warren Gatland.
That's the point I was going to make. Is he's now on his third Lions tour. It's been a shambles with the Chiefs. You look how well they've done now
since
in his
absence.
Yeah. No one thought they were going to pull that back and actually give the Crusaders, who are arguably the best domestic side, a good run for their money in the final. That's in Gatland's absence.
Well, do you think that people didn't want to play for him? I mean, it's
well, I don't think you can. When I initially heard, I think 2 or 3 years ago, the proposal for how Gatland was going to structure his coaching over the next few years, and it was to come back from Wales, be the Chiefs coach for a season, then leave, then come back. As a domestic player in Waikato, that Warren Gatland's focus isn't on you. It's still an Alan Wynne-Jones in Wales and looking towards them. And it'll be interesting to see. I think his downfall may also be a sense of loyalty to some of the Welsh players, as we've seen.
Well, they're probably the only guys in the world that will still want to play for him right now.
Yeah.
I see this tour, besides all the COVID related issues, I see it being a bit of a dog's breakfast, in terms of he's lost a lot of his credibility over the last year with the coaching of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And you're only as good as your last year or your last game or whatever you want to call it. So I think they got the wrong coach. I think that they picked the wrong team. They've admitted too many quality players.
Yeah.
Anytime you pick 8 Scottish players, I think it's 8.
Yeah.
You've got a bad team.
I just can't get past the omissions in that squad, you know, and surprise omissions too. Those guys coming out and saying that they, you know, and not in an arrogant way, because people were like, oh, Carl Sinclair, how can you ever assume you were going to make the side? I think if you're England's starting prop, you know, supposedly one of the best English sides that, you know, the world's ever seen, I think part of you does assume that you're going to be in that setup, you know, and just you look for like comparisons. If we've got Dwayne fully fit starting, Billy Vunipola probably the North's best option as a big brutal number 8 to match him, you know.
Yeah, I think if we don't knock shit out of each other over the next few weeks with this Rainbow Cup, which I understand, and I feel really sorry for Saru and having to still make a bit of money in the provinces, or try and make a bit of money, because the Lions without fans is an absolute commercial disaster, and they were banking on that for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
So I get what they're doing, but if the Boks come out of this Rainbow Cup unscathed, I don't see the Lions touching them.
Do you know what excites me a lot, and I think we can pop up a link here if people haven't watched it, but Zels and my dad did the series The War Room, you know, chatting about what is the potential Springboks starting 15 if in crisis time our whole starting 15 from the World Cup is injured, you know, who we pick, and the fans from SA Rugby picked a side and they picked a side, and we've actually got some very exciting depth when you consider that half of our team is playing overseas and dominating overseas, you know, Faf, Vili, Damien Deolandi starring, you know, a couple of the forwards. Colby every single weekend. There's, you know, videos by Colby.
He's the most watched and most read character on SA Rugby magazine, the website.
And I mean, he's taking, I think we've spoken about it before, but how soccer is, as much as it's more professional sport than rugby is, soccer's a sport that's done well to get celebrity status with their guys. And rugby doesn't have that so much. You look at Ches and Colby and the impact that he's having, and he's become like a rugby celebrity. But it's backed up.
Rugby rock star.
Yeah, but it's backed up every weekend with performances, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say the same for Siya Kolisi.
Well, you know, that's another topic. Siya Kolisi and Rock Nation have probably done more damage to rugby over the last year and a bit than they would care to admit.
Yeah.
You know, it's divisive, and his focus isn't on rugby, I don't believe.
But you know, in terms of the other rugby guys, I'm just, like you said, it's turgid. It is boring watching our same teams play each other over and over again. There's a sort of like stagnant element that comes in. But what is cool for me is I'm looking at these Super Rugby teams, these Rainbow Cup SA teams, and they're drastically changed from our teams of 5 years ago. And there's a hell of a lot of new talent in, but you're very good players. Like the Springboks starting front 3 will probably come from the Stormers. You know, Kitshoff, Bongi, and Frans Malherbe. But I look at like how the Sharks props have been performing.
I wonder if Malherbe can keep his place.
I don't know. He stands strong in those scrums, and that's all he needs to do.
Yeah, that's true.
The fatter he gets, the tougher it gets to scrum against.
Fatty boom boom.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at like we've got some brilliant depth in pretty much all positions. Only red flag was Pollard, but he's now come back from injury. The Montpellier boss has said that he's going to play a big role in their sort of campaign. Then you've got Mornay staying, the stars are aligning, you know, sort of 12 years on from the...
That would be some story.
That would be amazing, and he's been involved in the alignment camps. He's been brilliant at the Bulls, you know, so...
Well, he has a lot, he's got a lot to offer, you know.
Yeah, for sure. But I think I then look also at how I'm sure Rassi is planning the execution, and Jacques planning the execution of Mornay Steyn as a veteran, and it's not necessarily as the starting 10 and the captain, but then I look at what Warren Gatland and co are doing with Alan Wynne-Jones, and if I had to pick Alan Wynne-Jones, it would be in the squad very much in a mentorship role, come off the bench, you help in those midweek games and stuff, and you've got another coach there, you've got a 158 cap guy that's coming with you and helping. You're not starting a guy with 158 caps when you've got Mario Toji leaving James Ryan out the squad. You've got a wealth of other fantastic locks in the Northern Hemisphere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I just look at it and I look at the emissions, and I just think there's and I look at the fact that the Chiefs didn't win a game under Gatlin this year. That's shambolic. I think that I think of when I look at the emissions, any team that tours with that sort of emissions raises questions amongst the players. It's like, does this guy know what he's doing?
Yeah, especially amongst the national players. Because one has to remember that yes, it's the North coming to face the South, but it's 4 different countries. And like you said, are the Welsh guys the guys that are going to play for him? If you're an English player and you look at your teammates that have been left out, Joe Marler, Carl Sinclair.
Well, unless your name is Robert the Bruce, you probably shouldn't be picked. I don't know.
Duran van der Merwe though.
Well, here's the thing. This is why we've got the screen up here, because the bet of the year for me has got to be piling on South Africa at 2.25. That's if you put down say 10,000, you're going to get 22,250 rand back.
Yeah.
Or if you put down 1,000, you're going to get 2,000. 200.
What's the math?
I'm a bit slow today, but I mean it's better than even money. It's better than even money.
Yeah.
You're getting 125% return on your investment, and to be looking at 1.66, I'm just wondering where they get this betting from.
I think there's just you spoke about it often in soccer with the sort of legacy markets and how Manchester United will week in, week out get good odds regardless of what their form is.
But these guys don't play in week out.
But a Liverpool, like you said, a Liverpool, regardless of how good their form was at one stage, are always given the short end in terms of odds. There's always uncertainty, and you get the sense that with South Africa in World Rugby, there's always this outcast over us. Like if you go look at the World Cup odds at the moment, which we have up there, South Africa is 6.10 to 1. France is ahead of us, England's ahead of us. Based on?
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about. I think that the Lions will actually lose a provincial game as well, like against.
I think it could be against
the Bulls.
Against Jake's Bulls.
Yeah.
So if you look at when they toured Australia in 2013, Jake was coaching the Brumbies.
Yeah.
That was the only domestic team to beat them. I think when they toured South Africa, not 2009 because they didn't play the Bulls, but previously the Bulls were the only domestic side to beat them. So again, talk about things aligning. Jake's back at the Bulls.
Yeah, and Jake, love him or hate him, he hates losing.
Yeah.
So he'll see this as a massive scalp.
And he knows how to not lose too.
Yeah, he does, and it's a thin team they're bringing over. It's I would say right now, unless I see some drastic change or some buck injuries, that it's looking at a 3-0 whitewash. I think there's so much controversy around this tour in terms of no fans. There's so if you're looking to go on a real lads tour, you've got to be in bubbles. It's like not the tour that other people have experienced.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that has people not that excited about it. There's no fans in the stadium, so you're not going to get that red crowd that's going to lift you up for the last 5-10 minutes of a game or push you on. It's going to be an unusual situation, and I just hope that the government here, and I hope the numbers stay down enough that we can send at least 25%, have 25% capacity, something. 25% will make a massive difference.
It could just actualize as an event,
Yeah, well, it does. So I think that's the reason, and maybe it's just because there's so much fear being generated about the South African variant that people think it's the ultimate boogeyman and don't want to come as well. Don't underestimate the fear that's being generated around South Africa.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But like you said, probably one of the bets of the year if you can lock that in now and you're willing to.
If you got the cash and want to, it's not that far away, is it?
Soon, July. So
we're rapidly approaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that if you've got a few spare rent, that's the bet. South Africa for the Lions tour. I don't see. It's a super bet.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, bet. No, listen. I meant a fantastic bet. So there you have it. Lions. unbelievable selections. Controversial, I think.
Yeah.
Gatlin, 2-11 in his coaching since the World Cup. I see more going wrong for the Lions than going right on this tour.
An agreement there.
Anyway, but thanks very much. Thanks for
Bill.
coming in. Got to back the Boks, people.